Boise Entrepreneur Week, how are you doing? Woohoo! Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Boise Entrepreneur Week main pitch competition finals. Tonight, we are going to give away $50,000 in cash to one of Idaho's emerging early stage startups. Let's give it up for that. $50,000. I have just a couple quick opening remarks. I love audience polls, and I love telling you to move forward. Thank you for doing that. Quick show of hands. Who's been to Boise Entrepreneur Week before? Okay, about half of you. Who is here for the first time? About half of you. Wonderful. Welcome. Round of applause for the people showing up for the first time. This event is incredible. I'm super proud of it. My name is Jacob Grinwis. I am Boise Entrepreneur Week's co-chair and the director of operations over at Trailhead. Boise Entrepreneur Week is Idaho's largest entrepreneurial event. It's a week-long celebration of innovation and entrepreneurship where we highlight local founders. We conduct workshops, panel discussions, keynote speeches, and my favorite, the pitch competitions. 14 tracks were featured this year, each catering to different segments of entrepreneurship. These tracks have all wrapped. Hopefully you enjoyed them. I want to thank the track chairs. We had about 55 different individuals we were working with to put on the programs that you all enjoyed this week. So give it up for our track chairs. I want to show you what we've done together over the last 7 years of Boise Entrepreneur Week. I love showing this slide. We've hosted over 12,000 attendees over the last 7 years, but the one I want to call your attention to is the money awarded to pitch competitors. Over $1 million we passed last year. Yes. That's not possible without our sponsors. I'll get to that in a moment. Thank you to all of the Boise Entrepreneur Week sponsors. It's also not possible without you guys. I say this every year. Filling a seat here tonight is literally, it's a symbolic investment into the future of Idaho's economy and our business community. So give a round of applause for yourself. Thank you for showing up to support these founders. I want to just quickly highlight the sponsors of this year's pitch competition. These companies have put their money where their mouth is, and they've chosen to bet on Boise tonight. The $50,000 grand prize is only made possible by the generosity of these individuals and the organizations that they represent. We have Alturas Ventures, Scoggin Capital Investments, Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Program, Boise Dev, Perkins Coie, Zions Bank, Taleo Capital, In Time Tech, the Boise Metro Chamber, and Vinyl. Give it up for our 2025 pitch competition sponsors. I'd also like to just quickly thank our judges panel. We have 10 individuals here who have volunteered their time and expertise to help make sure that the individual who wins the $50,000 grand prize this evening is the most ready to put it to work in growing their venture. We are joined tonight by Rick Lethbridge, Matthew Farrow, Michael Carr, Luke Henkin, Nick Krabs, Brian Jorgensen, Karen Stewart, Amy Thompson, Brian Klein, and Ashley Crafton. Give it up for our judges panel. The moment we've all been waiting for. We have 6 finalists tonight. These finalists submitted applications in May of 2025. There was about 45 applicants received this year. 15 moved on to the semifinals in August. That's a pretty sharp cutoff. 15 moved on to the semifinals in August. They pitched at Trailhead in front of an evaluation committee separate from this judges panel, and 6 were chosen to move forward to tonight's event. So the 6 entrepreneurs who are getting on stage tonight, they have 10 total minutes. It's up to them how they use it. You'll probably see them spend about 7 minutes pitching their business idea to you and about 3 minutes facilitating Q&A with our judges panel. The judges are going to be looking at all of these different aspects of a startup's viability as they're evaluating these startups. And the founder at the end with the highest score wins the $50,000. So without further ado, are you ready to see some pitches? All right. To everybody joining us on the live stream, thank you for being here as well. We've got a packed room, so I'm glad you made time to zoom in and see what we're building tonight. All right, we'll get on with our first pitcher. Thank you, everybody. Testing, testing. Alrighty, folks. Kicking off our main pitch competition finals is Jordan Roper, film composer and founder of Music Masters. Jordan's platform teaches kids music through real-time feedback, turning instruments into controllers and lessons into games. With everything from Mozart to Taylor Swift, please give us a warm welcome to Jordan Ropers with Music Masters.
Thank you very much. So I'm here to discuss Music Masters, and it's a more intuitive, fun, and accessible pathway for music education. So the problem we have today is burnout. So kids get home from school, they've been at their desk for 5 hours, 6 hours, and they don't want to sit down at the piano or their violin or their guitar and practice music. It's tedious. They got to do Bach, Beethoven, which I love because I'm a music nerd, but they don't care about it. They don't want to work on their scales and all this technique and all that theory. Then you have the parents that get home from work, and they're tired. Most of them don't know how to read music either. I know how to read music, obviously, and I don't want to work on music lessons with my kids. I'm done, okay? So then you also have the educators. So I've been an educator before and experienced this, but we don't have, and educators don't have the resources and the time that they need to give kids a proper music education in the time that they have with them. I remember particularly this one charter school that I taught at, there was this kid named Jose, and he was such a good student. Really polite, tried really, really hard. And I'd say, okay, he was on an individualized education program, an IEP, and I was like, okay, Jose, A, B, C, D, and he'd go, E. And I say, okay, so this note's A, this note's B, so then what's that note? And he's like, I don't know. It's just a disconnect. He just wasn't getting it, and it wasn't his fault. I didn't have what he needed to give. And I was focused on the entire class. I didn't have the time and the resources to give him what he needed. And plus, sometimes it's just too expensive for some families. We've got an average of $120 per child per month, and some people just can't afford that. So how do we solve that problem? Introducing Music Masters. So what we've done is we've created a video game that allows them to bring their acoustic instrument, piano, guitar, violin, whatever it might be, and use their school-issued device to play that on, and it'll tell them if they're playing the right note in the right time and the right pitch. They can design their skins to make their character look however they want. Again, if they're playing the right note in the right pitch, it shows up green. If they're playing the wrong notes or in the wrong pitch, it'll show up red, and then their life meter will start to go down, and they can be battling their friends to see who wins. Whether you win or lose, once it's done, it's going to say, okay, here's what you need to work on. Your tempo is right here. Your correct notes are right here. And then you can go to the training dojo and work on your rhythm. You can go to the training dojo and work on your intonation, on your music theory. And it'll be fun to do that. And it'll be trackable to do that. And they'll be able to verse their friends. And the educators will be able to keep up and see how they're doing along with the parents. This is a huge tool for parents. They get home from school. Hey, can I play Fortnite? Can I go to play with my friends? After Music Masters for 30 minutes, or whatever you say, okay? And then hopefully the kids are saying, I want to play Music Masters when they get home for their music lessons. Also, obviously, for the child, they have that school-issued device. My daughter's got a Chromebook. My son is going to have a Chromebook when he gets into middle school. And they have that device given to them to be able to utilize this. Also, it's music that students like. So it's going to be Taylor Swift. It's going to be Bruno Mars and Imagine Dragons and that weird chicken nugget song on YouTube that all the kids love. It's going to be all those things, okay? And then it's less than 25% the yearly cost for lessons. Huge savings. The competition is really solid. We've got Simply Music and Musician are the main competition when it comes to actual music theory and being able to use your acoustic instrument with it, but they're not child-focused. They have child aspects to them so that children can use it, but they're mainly for teenagers and adults, and they're not. It doesn't have like where you can just design your skin and your character to make it look the way you want. It's not level-to-level progress. You can't battle your friends. That's all kids care about. I'll be sitting down playing Fortnite with my son whenever I can, and I'm like, dude, we've been playing for 10 minutes, or we haven't even played. We've been here for 10 minutes. I want to play the game. And he's too busy designing his gun, designing his boat, designing his car, designing his skin. That's all he cares about. He wants it to look and feel a certain way so he can battle his friends. That's what all kids care about now. So we want to be able to give that to them. Well, Guitar Hero did that. You can have a custom looks, and it's fun. You have level-to-level progress. You battle your friends. Well, look at the profit difference. Massive profit difference because it was fun and intuitive. Well, Prodigy, math game, has nothing to do with music, but it was fun and intuitive. Look at the profit differences. We can give them a solid music education and have it be fun and intuitive and get a piece of that pie. Subscription model, so free with ads, limited, but we'll get ad money from that. And then $8.99 a month for full access, $29.99 per 30-minute private lesson, $1.99 for yearly full access. And then for schools, it'll be $3.99 per 50 users. Now, global primary students available is about 770 million, which gives you the potential of $6.9 to $19.2 trillion a month potential. And then primary students in the USA, over 33 million, which is 296.7 to 824.7 million potential monthly revenue. And then primary school students in Idaho alone is between 1.9 to 5.4 million. So that's monthly potential revenue, not including the school subscriptions, just individual. So then you add that on top of it, it's pretty awesome. So here's our team. And it looks like one of them got bumped off the side. But Benjamin Gale is the CEO. He's been doing this for over 25 years. Been teaching violin for over 25 years, has his bachelor's in business development. Nick Nord has his master's in music and engineering. He does amazing productions and orchestrations. And then Gregory and I both went to the same school. And we both have our master's in music in film and television composition. I'm an entrepreneur. I've grown and sold multiple small businesses for a profit. And then our development team, Chad Lee and Alan Staker. Chad is a current consultant for Disney, PlayStation, and Sony, and the art director for Temple Run. Alan Staker went to Harvard Business School and currently owns a successful educational video game company called Brain Chase. So he's already doing this, and they're on our board. So 2020 is when it started. January of 2022, they had a legal business established. October 2022, they give me a call and say, I don't know what to do with this. We've got a really cool product. We don't know how to get the money. What do we do? And I'm also a producer. I forgot to mention that, so I get things funded. I was like, well, we need an MVP. We need a demo, and we need to get someone to consult with that has done this, that is in this industry. Well, the piano guys, Benjamin happens to teach one of their kids violin, or taught one of their kids violin. So I was like, give me a hold of the piano guys. I actually got a hold of the piano guys, and to toot my own horn, it worked. We actually have been consulting with them for a couple years. They gave us exactly what we needed. We grassroots raised $55,000 to fully develop a demo. And by September of 2024, we had it, and we're using that demo to be able to raise funds. Now, what we need is $2 million for year 1 and 2. They build the game in year 1. Red Wolves is the one that's doing it. And then the rest of us on the team will create the content, all the music theory and everything. And then years 2 through 5 is a quarterly development. Just Fortnite's brilliant at this. Every quarter, they have another update. Oh, a new Transformer movie came out. Oh, Taylor Swift just dropped an album. Whatever. We'll update it to those things so they can learn that music and have those skins. Every quarter, we do more and more updates. By year 5, we want to have a business value of $100 million. Now, what we want to use that $50 million, that'd be amazing, 50,000 for, that'd be the most incredible business entrepreneur week ever, is that 50,000 is going to be huge for us. Because two things that every investor and the piano guys have always said is, first, hey, if we don't have access to the 100 top Billboard songs, this game is not going to go anywhere. We need to see Taylor Swift. We need to see the weird chicken nugget song that every kid loves on YouTube. We need to see those things that they care about. Well, it takes money. And so between 7,000 to 30,000, somewhere in there, obviously Taylor Swift is going to cost more. The weird chicken nugget song on YouTube is going to cost next to nothing. So to be able to get those, we'll use this. The second thing they said is we need verifiable data that shows this is showing progression in the students. Hey, beginning of January, our students were here. End of the semester, they're here using Music Masters. Our current MVP is fun, and you can play it, and it works. We've shown and proved our theory that we can do this, but we can't track it. So we have a superintendent in Texas and a superintendent in Utah, 2 superintendents in Utah, and they've signed and are ready for this fully developed MVP that can track it. They're currently using our current MVP and having fun. We just can't track it. So we need to expand it. And so both of these things will have piano guys more on board to market it and then investors on board if we can do this. Thank you very much. I would love to hear your questions.
Got just under 2 minutes for Q&A.
It wasn't really clear how you make money. Can you tell us your revenue model?
Yes, yes.
Now it works.
Now it works. Yes. So what we do, the monthly revenue model, is free. So if they can't afford to pay anything, then it'll be free with ads for limited availability, and then $8.99 a month for full access to the game. So they pay a $9 monthly subscription, and then $29.99 per 30-minute private lesson, which we'll do where they can screen share with the instructor, which that's being done already. We'll just implement that into Music Masters. And then $1.99 for yearly full access. They just get access to the entire game. And then if they want to update with newer skins or pay for music, then they can. And then for the schools, I can't remember, it was a long time ago, but there was a software that I used that allowed kids to mix and master on their Chromebooks. And it was like $500 a month for the semester for that school. So same thing. Ours will be $3.99 per 50 users for the school to have access to it for their students.
Which revenue stream are you seeing more growth from? And kind of a follow-up question. How are you convincing parents to pay for this when they can just get on YouTube and make their kid watch a stupid video?
Great question. Absolutely great question. So I'll answer the second one first. Well, I'll answer the first one. So we're still pre-revenue. So we're still creating this to where we can get revenue. That's the next step once we have this fully fleshed MVP and then the top 100 Billboard songs. Then we can, even though it's not going to be the full game, we can use that to say, hey, pay $4.99 and have this fun game, help us raise funds for the rest. But to convince the parents, that's actually been so far the easiest part. So all of Gregory's students, Nick's students, and Benjamin's students are using this, and they've all, every week they're like, hey, can we have access to it yet? Like, where's the game at? And they're ready to pay. Most parents have said they'd pay up to $50 a month, which we're not gonna charge, but they said, if we can utilize this to help my students or my kids so I'm not coming home from work and looking at music that I don't know, they're willing to pay for it. So that seems, same with the superintendents. All the students are willing and ready.
All right, and that is all the time we have, folks. Let's give it up for Jordan Roper with Music Masters. We'll give you a few minutes to wrap up your thoughts and scoring. Folks, what do we think of our first finalist? Are you ready to move on to the next one? All right. Next up on the Boise Entrepreneur Week stage is Stephen Pentland, founder of Rhetorics Lab. Stephen is helping educators counter AI cheating with oral assessments that are harder to fake and better for learning. Rhetorics champions real skills and authentic student engagement. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Stephen Pentland with Rhetorics.
Hi, I'm excited to be here. I'm Steve Pentland, founder of Rhetorics. I'm also an associate professor at Boise State, and I have two little kids. They're 5 and 7. And I have this habit with them where at the end of the day, I ask them a question like, hey, tell me what you learned today. And through that interaction, I can tell what they're excited about. I can tell what information really stuck with them. And I can tell where there might be some confusion in their learning. Now contrast that with how I try and assess learning in students in my day-to-day job as a professor. Just like most other educators, I have to rely heavily on writing assignments, which in itself has always kind of been problematic. But layer on top the now widespread use of generative AI among college students, and there is a true assessment crisis occurring in higher ed. Because what students submit is no longer proof of what they know. You know that AI can write a convincing essay in a matter of seconds, and I know, as an educator on the ground right now, is that the faculty are overwhelmed, we're worried about learning, we're worried about cheating, and we know the tools we have available to us are not meeting the demands of today. That's why I've combined my research background and my educational experience to create Rhetorics Lab. Rhetorics Lab allows educators to transform many types of written assessments into asynchronous oral assessments. Our platform provides the benefits of face-to-face oral exams, but with the scalability for modern education. And just like face-to-face oral exams, or job interviews, or team meetings, or design reviews, the students know the topic that's going to be covered, but they don't know the exact questions that are going to be asked. Questions are delivered spontaneously, and students need to be ready to think on their feet and respond on video. This method of assessment requires students to understand the material really well. And our research is showing that students are spending more time studying, they're using more active study habits when they're preparing for one of our assessments compared to traditional writing assessments. And we're not trying to replace writing in higher ed, right? Writing still has its place. We're trying to offer an alternative to many types of traditional written assignments that are about 1 page or less. And so that's why we limit our recording time to 3 minutes. However, our system can deliver personalized questions to students based on their previously submitted written work. We can ask them to expand on their thinking from their essays. We can ask them to explain their logic in their computer code. This method of assessment not only helps to verify authorship and knowledge, but it prepares students for real-world situations where they're going to have to explain in meetings what they came up with. We're not just a video upload platform. They exist and they're not meeting today's demands. We're a full assessment workflow. Our grading dashboard is designed for efficiency, consistency, and reliability. We take something that could be construed as subjective and we turn it into an objective assessment of knowledge and skills. If you look at the competitive landscape right now, there's kind of 2 classes of systems that we're competing against. There's other video-based tools, but they're not really assessments. They're upload platforms. And then the other class of systems are AI detection algorithms, like GPT-0. There's a lot of reasons why these are a bad idea. But what gets me is that they're used with the idea that AI shouldn't be part of the content refinement process. Students should be using AI. They'll be expected to use AI when they're in the workforce. Our platform guides ethical use of AI and holds students accountable for the knowledge and skills that they need to possess. The market potential here is significant. The global edtech industry is currently valued at $220 billion, but is expected to grow to $810 billion by 2033. And higher ed is just one potential avenue for us. Corporate training, government, US military trainings could all benefit from Rhetorics Lab assessments. We really haven't been around as a company very long. We set up less than 6 months ago. But we've been in 25 courses at Boise State. We've recorded over 1,500 student videos. We're onboarding the University of Arizona and BYU in the spring. We've received grant support from the NSF as well as AWS. And pretty regularly now, I get an email or I get stopped in the hallway by a colleague and they say, hey, my online assignments are a mess. Can I use Rhetorics Lab? It's clear we're solving an issue in the market. Our go-to-market strategy is based on the idea that it's the administrator, or that it's the educator, not the administrator, who decides what tools and resources are used in the classroom. And that's why we go faculty first. You can think about this as the textbook model. A faculty member adopts a resource, and those costs are passed along to students. We plan to acquire early adopters through ease of adoption and then free semester trials. But ultimately, we want to target institutional licenses, and we'll start targeting that institutional value proposition. A student body who has gone through their college careers using Rhetorics Lab will be far more prepared for the workforce than those who have not. Our business model follows our go-to-market strategy. We start with student licenses, which will be about $30 per semester per student, but really we want to target institutional licenses at a discounted rate. And we'll be using channel partners like VitalSource and LMS platforms like Canvas and Blackboard to get our platform out en masse. Our team is well positioned to grow this company. My PhD is in management information systems. I spent the last decade building and studying automated interviewing technologies. Ben Hoban, co-founder, has real-world go-to-market strategy execution experience. We're supported by the Office of Technology Transfer at Boise State. We have a wide network of advisors that we regularly tap into, but we're looking at formalizing partnerships with a marketing advisor and an ed tech sales strategist. You don't need to be a professor to see the writing on the wall. The time is ripe for Rhetorics Lab, and I hope you reach out if you want to support us in our journey. Thank you.
Judges, we have 3 minutes for Q&A.
Quick question on purchasing. I know cycles within education and state local government take a long time to procure new products. So have you considered that in your offering and how you're going to approach it if you're going to start from the bottom up?
Yeah, I mean, our strategy there is really to try and get around procurement to begin with, right? The individual faculty members can make the decision to adopt a technology on their own without having to necessarily go through, say, a formal procurement process. Of course, you have to go through sort of checks with your campus IT and things like that, but we're focused on putting the decision-making ability in the hands of the faculty member, and it's usually only when you get to the sort of LMS integration steps that you're required to go through that procurement process.
Could you talk a little bit about your technology moat?
Technology, can you?
Your moat?
Can you expand on that?
Well, I mean, it's a good idea what you're solving, but the video as opposed to written. But what about your company is the moat that just, oh, let's turn on a Zoom and have you talk about something over online?
That's right. There's a scalability issue with, say, Zoom, right? Like the faculty member does not have time to sit down one-on-one with each student and go through like one-on-one interviews, basically, right? Then you get into the sort of the idea of, well, just record something on your computer, right? Just record a video, like try and make it under 3 minutes and upload it. There's a lot of logistical issues with that, and anytime I've personally asked my students to do that, you get a video that's 10 minutes long, you get a video without audio, right? And so we're trying to create a structured approach to capture video and assess video. And if we can put a high degree of structure around how those two things, you have fairer assessment processes and you're able to give sort of more critical feedback to students. And the other part of it is that generally, like, students are given questions ahead of time, right? And we want to keep students thinking on their feet and make them sort of respond off the cuff, right? Instead of just getting pure presentations when anyone could memorize what ChatGPT output and record that on video.
Could you speak to how you would plan to overcome resistance from educators that might be concerned about student pushback, or do you see that as being an issue at all?
One of the things I'm passionate about is building trust within students and educators as we're building this company. And right now we've foregone automated assessment, right? And I think that seems to be the primary sticking point that when I talk to students about this, talk to faculty members about this, they're like, I don't want AI grading, right? And so we don't do that currently. Maybe sometime in the future we'll do that. Generally, when I talk to students about the product, they're like, it felt odd, but I can get better at this. I need to get more practice in with this because I'm going to have to do this in 6 months on the job market anyway. So although they're uncomfortable, by and large, they're realizing that, hey, this is something that's good for me.
All right, and that is all the time that we have. Please give it up for Steve Pentland with Rhetorics. Judges, we'll give you a few minutes to wrap up your scoring and feedback. 2 pitches down, 4 to go. 2 companies seeking to innovate in the education space. I'm very excited to introduce our next finalist. Now pitching is Ann Maxon, president of Effective. Ann's company helps patients and clinicians stay on track with medications using smart, automated treatment check-ins via text, boosting outcomes and reducing healthcare costs. Please give a warm welcome to Ann Maxon with Effective.
Hello, my name is Ann Maxon. I'm a pharmacist by training, and I'm the founder of Effective, a patient engagement and medication optimization solution. To better understand what that means, please join me in a quick visualization exercise. Imagine that you're at the entrance to a dark and unfamiliar forest with no clear path ahead. The guide who brought you to this point says, "We'll see you in 6 months," then turns and walks away. To many, this is what starting a new medication can feel like: lonely, confusing, and even a little bit risky. Not many patients are able to navigate the forest successfully and take their medication correctly throughout treatment. This is a big problem. 5 billion prescriptions were written last year. On average, out of every 10, only 8 will be filled. Of those filled, only half, so only 4, will be taken correctly. This has a significant financial and human toll, amounting to $530 billion per year. This comes from $300 billion in avoidable healthcare expenses. In just diabetic patients, lost productivity at work led to a $30 billion cost. Aside from the financial impact, there's also lost productivity at home, adding stress to individuals and families. And sadly, 125,000 deaths are linked to this problem each year. Let me share a story about my friend Jason. Jason receives treatment for PTSD since his last military deployment. He's stable, but has a few side effects. His doctor changes his medication in hopes of finding a better fit for him. Follow-up is scheduled in 6 months. Unfortunately, the new medication worsens Jason's symptoms. He withdraws from friends and family. Since he's not high risk, there's no extra outreach from the clinic that takes place. Jason ends his own life. He never makes it to that follow-up visit. Jason isn't fictional. He is a real person from here in the Treasure Valley, with a real wife and real kids who miss him every single day. As a pharmacist, I get a lot of phone calls from friends who are lost in the forest and have questions like, this weird thing's happening. Do you think it's my medicine? Or how can I even tell if this stuff is working? It's those calls and stories like Jason's that led me to start Effective. If you can receive a text with a survey asking you about the shoes that you bought last week, why can't we do something similar for something much more important? That is what Effective does. Unlike clunky patient portals, it is designed for ease of use. Patients receive a text with a link that initiates a quick, customized medication check-in, asking questions about satisfaction, efficacy, side effects, and more. Texts are automated and sent at a specific cadence throughout treatment. If a patient response indicates a need for intervention, it triggers an alert to go to the provider, enabling timely assistance. Patients don't have to wait for that follow-up visit. This streamlines care and improves patient outcomes. So, what would Jason's story look like if Effective had been around? The first 2 steps are the same, but then the new medication triggers Effective check-ins. Jason's doctor is alerted that the new medication isn't working. He's able to get in touch with Jason and help him find a new medication that allows him to thrive. So, we know Effective is beneficial for patients, but our customer is the clinic. Does it make sense for them? Yes, it does. With a price to the clinic of $40 per patient per year, we can quickly generate a 10x ROI by helping clinics capture revenue, increase patient engagement, and improve efficiency in workflows. In the long term, the clinics will benefit from improved quality metrics, which will help them greatly increase their revenue through quality and performance bonuses. Factoring in these values, it is easy to see that a $20,000 annual cost for Effective can demonstrate a $1 million return. Over 150 million Americans take at least one medication for a chronic condition. We can capture $11 million with just 100 clients in the regional clinic market. Effective differentiates itself from its competitors by providing more support to clinicians and patients than standard wellness apps, with more scalability and applicability than the traditional healthcare model. Our primary competitor, Arene, has a more narrow focus, looking at at-risk populations for insurance companies. And they completely miss that opportunity to intervene and help with patients when they need it. Effective addresses an unmet need through the sweet spot of simple tech married with clinical expertise. Despite high barriers to entry, our low-burden solution increases market access. Our cloud-based platform enables rapid and easy distribution to our target customers, including clinics, pharmacies, and self-insured employers. We connect with them through events, partnerships, referrals, and social media. Our network of collaborators helps expand our reach by connecting us with aligned leaders. One way that we make money is through subscriptions to clinics. At a price of $10,000 per 250 patients, time saved, as well as increased access to revenue, will quickly demonstrate that 10x ROI mentioned earlier. Data is another way that we make money. Currently, most data regarding medication adherence comes from claims data, which just indicates whether or not a prescription has been picked up from the pharmacy. With Effective, we gather so much more. We know why patients do take their medications, or why they don't, and how providers are able to help. Valued at $15 per patient per year, this data enables short-term interventions as well as long-term predictive analytics and holds value for a variety of buyers. With 2 revenue streams and scalability of software, we're able to expand our margins quickly over the next 4 years with the goal to break even in 2027 and continue upward from there. Participating in the first cohort of Tree Seed Trailblazers really helped jumpstart Effective. We've gained traction since then through proof of concept that demonstrated an incredible 75% check-in response rate and finalized our HIPAA-compliant software. We are starting beta testing right now, which we're really excited about, and those beta sites will become our first clients and our biggest advocates to the market. The recognition that we've received through startup programs to speaking invitations further demonstrates the momentum that we've gained. Our founding team all have a Doctor of Pharmacy degree and experience in the startup space. We're uniquely qualified to take Effective to the next level. And we're so grateful to our incredible advisors, Jake, Clay, and Blake, who actively contribute their expertise in helping us make our dream a reality. Combined, we have an extensive network that will allow us to connect with the right talent when the time comes to expand our team. And in the long term, we know that Effective can benefit underserved populations, and we look for opportunities to give back. Having been self-funded thus far, the BEW prize money would be transformational in helping us expand our team to optimize our data infrastructure, which is why by choosing Effective to win BEW, you will help us prevent experiences like Jason's and so many others who are lost in the forest. You will help us shine a light on the medication journey. Thank you.
We've got 2.5 minutes for Q&A.
So med adherence and feedback cycles is absolutely a real problem. But maybe even more of a problem is people filling out surveys. So how have you validated in the early iterations of your product to make sure that you'll get the data that you need?
Yes, of course. Surveys do come frequently and people don't fill them out, but in our proof of concept, it was a small N, it was 24, but 18 out of the 24 filled it out, and 85% said they felt it was a valuable way to keep track of what is going on with their medications. It was a signal to us that this is information patients would like to give to their provider, which is a lot easier than having to log in a portal and do all the different things and wonder if they even get it.
Could you speak to how you prioritize go-to-market motions to payers, providers, and directly to patients?
Yes. So did you say payers, providers, and then directly to patients?
Yes.
So we don't have a direct-to-patient component. It will mainly be the providers who are doing that from their perspective, which was demonstrated in our proof of concept. The provider that we worked with really teed it up and said, this will help me take better care of you, which I think goes back to Nick's question as well. So that helped the provider or the patients really be on board with it. As far as providers, like I said, there's those opportunities for revenue as well as helping streamline some of the workflows. Right now, the main way that providers will be able to get feedback on patients about their medication adherence is cold calls. And so this will make it a little bit easier for them to get that information. And then from a insurance company, was that the third one? From their perspective, if you look at the annual impact side of it, there's avoidable healthcare costs as a major expense, as well as lost productivity. And so we talk about using self-insured employers, right? And so they get to hit both of those stones. With that, they're able to help decrease avoidable healthcare costs, as well as have more presenteeism and less absenteeism in their employees. Yeah.
So recently in the news, there was a small, very successful startup that was overtaken because Epic, kind of behind their back, developed something on top of what they had already done. How do you avoid that happening with what you're doing right now?
Yeah, exactly. Our goal is to be EHR agnostic so that we can plug into different types of providers in different places. And Epic, we do have integration with Epic as a capability that we have.
Puts us right at time, folks. Please give it up for Ann Maxon with Effective. Judges, of course, we're going to give you some time to wrap up your scoring and feedback, but audience, I have a trivia question and a free drink ticket for the person who gets it correct. 12, no. What Idaho city is the founding brothers of Simplot from? Are the founding brothers of Simplot from? What Idaho city are the founding brothers of Simplot from? They're from Florida. No, just kidding. No answer. No right answer yet. Whoever said, what was that? No. Blackfoot, Karen Applegren with Zion's Bank, everybody. Okay, so between now and the next judges break, freshen up on your Idaho entrepreneurial history. Judges, are we feeling good to move on to the next finalist? All right. Taking the Boise Entrepreneur Week finals stage next is Joshua Adams, CEO of Scout AI. Scout is an AI-driven sales platform modernizing how contractors close deals, replacing sales teams with digital agents that deliver fast, customized product journeys. Let's hear it for Joshua Adams with Scout AI.
Hello, Boise Entrepreneur Week. So happy to be here. I'm a former contractor, and I scaled my service business to $5 million a year, selling offline, or as we like to call it in the biz, at the kitchen table. So, what's our problem? Each year in the US, 100,000 roofing contractors sell a combined $50 billion in service sales completely offline, and they lose profits to commissions, training, and field management. So, selling offline decreases profit, efficiency, and scalability. Traditional sales reps, they cost a ton. We have a 50-50 split and earn much less profit than other service sales. So generic sales have lower conversions. They sell the same way to every homeowner and convert less and have low efficiency. And then finally, with offline sales, like many things, we see strong diminished returns. So how do we solve this? Scout is a digital sales agent that helps contractors automate home improvement for service, helping reclaim profits lost to commissions, training, and field management. But as the old adage said, let's let the product speak for itself. Scout, how do you help contractors?
Well, they call me a digital sales agent, but I do everything a real salesman does. I guide buyers through product options, keep track of their selections, and then build a service proposal that's ready to sign. I help contractors sell and earn more. Sure, I'm digital by trade, but my friends just call me Scout.
Well said. Thank you, Scout. So Scout increases profit, efficiency, and scalability. He's a digital sales agent and unfortunately doesn't earn a commission, but helps the contractor earn more profit. He personalizes sales for higher conversion and higher efficiency with our proprietary Bolt algorithm that detects one of 4 unique buying styles and adapts the entire sales journey for that unique personality. Finally, we see a true scalable alternative to in-person sales. The more you sell with Scout, the cheaper it gets. So we're converting a manual, honestly ancient sales process into automated commerce right from the hand of the customer on demand. So let's take a look at our honestly really exciting traction. We exhibited at the International Roofing Expo, converting 87% of our leads to active waitlisted sales. We won Innovator of the Year in the software category, and then we signed our first large partnership with Owens Corning, a Fortune 500 leader in the space, bringing in $11 billion in annual sales and 27,000 active contractors that sell the Owens Corning products. In April, we received our first outside investment from Capital 11, and then by June, we had grown our r/roofing sales subreddit, doubled it in 60 days to 5,000 members and 40,000 active impressions per month. So how do we make money? Our business model is very unique, but very simple. It's 2-tier. We have a B2B software platform service to the contractor for $350 a month, but this is reinforced by our partnership revenue share model that contributes almost $1,700 a month to our average MRR of $2,050. This money is made from revenue share and financial kickbacks for origination fees for high-ticket sales that are financed through the platform. For those that do not finance, we're getting paid from the service transactions and payment processing fees. We also have very low customer acquisition costs, near zero, because of our OEM distribution, which we'll cover in our GTM slide. So based on this, taking our average MRR of that 2,050, we can build an actual very true and accurate bottom-up analysis, starting with our beachhead, which is the roofing contractors in the Owens Corning network, for $664 million for our serviceable obtainable market. Looking at our addressable market at $2.4 billion, that's roofing contractors represented from all manufacturers in the space. And then finally, the end goal will be building improvement contractors in all categories. So HVAC, windows, insulation, the entire building envelope. And that's representing our total addressable market of $9.8 billion. So how do we stack up? The competitive space for sales software for contractors is limited and really focuses on propping up and supporting a salesperson, which comes with a salesperson's commission. So where we stand out in the competitive space is we are allowing contractors to sell autonomously for the first time. We have created a really high barrier to entry, negotiating exclusive licensing for the real products that Scout sells in the platform into perpetuity. And then also we have IP protection in the form of our pending utility patent, which covers aerial measurement in a dynamic media player. So that is really the linchpin to making our process work without the requirement of manual inputs for automation. So our go-to-market is a dual go-to-market engine. As a former contractor, I've established true insider access with the people that we want to sell the product to. So growing our r/roofing sales subreddit to over 5,900 members, we get feedback. We're able to have visibility of the product and ask questions and iterate much before we went to market. And then our Scout podcast, YouTube channel, and active social media platforms all give us great earned media and reinforcing that low-cost customer acquisition strategy. And then this, of course, is reinforced, and we're scaling with our Owens Corning partner. They are throwing the full weight behind our new sales solution for their network of contractors. We're utilizing their national sales network across the entire US, promoting to those 27,000 contractors, and then launch support before, during, and after the International Roofing Expo for our co-launch this upcoming January. And then finally, we will be going into other services, not just roofing, into Home Depot and Lowe's, supporting the Owens Corning ever-expanding portfolio brands, including the newly acquired Masonite doors. Our team, so we're executing with an amazing team of top talent with strong active advisement. We have talent from Disney, Pixar, through our animation director and the people that really built the environment and had this Fortune 500 company trust us with digitizing their entire product catalog. Katie comes to us as the former e-commerce director for the largest publicly traded material distribution company in the nation, Beacon. Fantastic. And then Alex comes from streaming engineer from Netflix. We also have active advisement in the technology space with Heidi from Roofers Technology Think Tank, and then John from partnerships with Owens Corning, and last but not least, Mason with Capital 11. So the impact for us, we're planning to use this money in order to keep our entire workflow in Boise, allowing us to build out our rendering systems and not ship overseas, to have complete end-to-end flow, iterate fast, listen to customers, and be able to provide up-to-date sales situations in perpetuity. And so, yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to go over with that I have time for. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, I'll take some questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. Judges, we have 1 minute and 45 seconds for Q&A.
I have a question. Your numbers are impressive. I think you're ready for Shark Tank. I'm a little confused on the $50,000 spend, because everything you said sounded good, but can you just be a little more specific on how and why you need this amount of money, considering how big some of your investments are?
Yeah, absolutely. So the key is we covered our investment to get to market. We have a huge push and have our money allocated for our go-to-market support. But what we're really looking to do is bring the tech side in. So what our current situation is that you have to bring rendering power from overseas in order to render the character, the entire system. And so we want to be able to bring that in and do that all locally and build it here in order to have complete end-to-end control. So the rendering GPUs, the people to render, and keep that all local as far as the utility build out. Yeah, thank you for the question.
I have a question about friction. So right now, from my understanding, you have customers who would essentially download an app or hit a web page that has a 3D sales agent to sell them a new roof. Typically, when you're doing a single kind of point sale like that, it'd be pretty strange to have to download a new thing on your phone to interact with to buy something. So could you just talk about the friction that you run into or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have an amazing solution for that. So it's not actually an app. It's all sent through dynamic web link. So how we reduce friction right now, you have to take a tape measure, drive to the house, measure it. We utilize aerial measurement software. So we measure the roof, we get all of the figures, populate the dynamic web link with the measurements, and that was the real breakthrough on how to scale the process. Is no app, just a dynamic web link. Did that answer that? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. And that is time.
Okay.
Let's hear
Thank you so much, everybody.
Adams with Roof Scout AI. Judges, we'll give you some time for your feedback, conclusions, and your final thoughts. And the audience, I have another trivia question. And of course, there's a drink ticket. What year did Joe Albertsons open his first grocery store? What year did Joe Albertson open his first grocery store? No, I haven't heard it yet. We're close. We're getting close. 28. 39. Kyle Swan, Silicon Valley Bank. Thank you for sponsoring Boise Entrepreneur Week. I just rip it in half. I'll split it between both of you. Four founders down, 2 left. Judges, how are we feeling? Are we ready to move on? Audience, are we ready for our next finalist? All right. Now joining us is Allie Knight, founder of Alaris AI. Allie and her team are building an operating system to quickly and securely deploy AI across heavy industries, bringing tools like voice-powered search and automated workflows to deskless workers and contractors. Please give a warm welcome to Allie Knight with Alaris AI.
Okay, judges, imagine. I want you to put on your COO now. So you're the COO of Idaho Power, Halliburton, ADT Security, Dish Network, you get it. So you're the COO. And there's a lot of pressure on you. You have all of you share one major problem, one thing standing in between you and the CEO's job. And that is, your labor costs are rising faster than your revenue. And why is that? What do you all have in common? Your labor are crews, thousands of skilled technicians. And America has an acute shortage of skilled tradesmen. Now, that's not your fault, but you're still getting lots of pushback from the board, from the CEO. You've spent tens of millions on training. It is not your fault. There's a shortage. Nothing is working. Now, when you look at the math, what you really need, you must do, is hire more green hires, so less than 3 years experience. But they're risky. And your foremen, who are even harder to hire, by the way, are totally against it. They take up too much of your foreman's time. So what are you going to do? So my name's Allison Knight. This is my second startup, Alaris. My first startup was also AI in heavy industry. It was called Rebellion Photonics. We won Wall Street Journal Star of the Year, R&D 100. We did emissions detection and predictive maintenance with AI for oil and gas. And I raised over $14 million for that company. And we successfully exited to Honeywell in 2019. I was retired for a while, a professor, retired again. I'm not really good at being retired. And AI has just gotten way too exciting to stay on the sidelines. So the problem that I want to solve this time is to go even bigger, go for a unicorn. And that means a really big problem that the C-suite is willing to pay a great deal of money to solve. And what is that problem? So I'm a physicist by training, and we like to break things down to the common denominator. And at its core, you, COOs, have a knowledge problem. You need the knowledge in your foreman's head to be scalable for all these green hires. AI is so amazing at scaling human genius, but AI sucks for blue-collar work. I mean, it's really ridiculously bad. And why is that? It's because it's not trained on their knowledge that lives in Bob's head. We white-collar workers, we document everything. We got Word docs, Excel docs, all of it. But Bob, it's in his head. They're out in the field. You know what they do? They text Bob. Maybe they call him, but they can never get a hold of him, so really they're texting Bob. Maybe they hear back from Bob, maybe they don't. But that is the current workflow. Market size. TAM is almost too big to imagine, so let's go with SAM. And if you have 12 million technicians who work at big enterprises alone, we charge a minimum of $1,000 a year per technician. You've got a $12 billion SAM just in the US. So what's my solution? What's our solution? Remember, they text. That's their current workflow. I call this informal knowledge. Some people call it tribal or tacit knowledge, but this blue-collar genius. And I can use this knowledge source, this underutilized knowledge source. I can scrape all their texts and their voice calls. Then I can codify it, put it in AI, put it in knowledge graphs, use agents, and then I can build a product around this informal knowledge. So why is this really special? For one thing, next time your dish network technician up there, how do I put a satellite on a roof with a terracotta? This wasn't in the manual, I don't know what to do. Bob answers, you drill slowly. Don't press too hard, just a little. That's not in the manual, Bob knows that. And next time I get asked that question, I can answer it and source Bob and then reference the manual to make sure it's the right, safe answer. So what I'm using the public data, I'm using formal documentation, and I'm using this informal knowledge, all to create an answer. And why is this important for the business model? A lot of AI companies are really cool, but there's no switching costs. I'm creating an asset. That informal knowledge lives on my platform. What does that mean? So I use Salesforce for CRM, so I type in all my little information. I want to switch CRMs because Salesforce is kind of expensive. That's a real stinker because all that data lives on Salesforce now. It's the same for my platform. This informal knowledge now lives on my platform. I'm creating an asset, high switching costs, and that means a higher exit. Leadership team, there's me, hi. And then I'm really honored to have 2 world-class ex-Google employees who will be joining me on this journey. There's Marshall and Alex. Marshall Jung, my CTO, has a really interesting background because before becoming a really hardcore ML coder and leader of teams at Google, in his younger days, he was an actual field technician for Halliburton, so he's really got that special kind of magic. Traction. We're a new company. I just started this company in the past few months, but already we deployed a live beta. We even tried her out in the real world on job roles with HVAC. And then I had her take the certification exam through the EPA for HVAC certification. She passed, barely, but she did pass. Well, you don't want it too good because you want informal to matter. And then first time publicly, I can announce we've officially formed our customer advisory board, who will be working with to develop full-scale launches of the product. So the utility is none other than local Idaho Power. For electrical, with their 2,000 linemen. Then for electrical, we have Berg Electric, which has 2,700 electricians. They do huge projects like airports. And then in oil and gas, we brought on board a fracking company out of the Permian in Texas. So for the business model, you can probably tell we could use this for small businesses, or we could go for big companies like I'm going for. In general, you always want to go for the big companies, way higher profit margins. They're willing to spend, you have more visionaries, you have less churn, and there's actually, in the end, lower cost of customer acquisition. So we start out with a $100,000 sale to start, and then we expand to around $1 million annually for some of these big clients. Only one other competitor really in this space for what we call this knowledge orchestration in AI. It's called Bolo AI. They've raised $8 million, and they don't give a flying hoot about informal knowledge. That's a mistake, because it won't work without this blue-collar genius. Also, they're not building the asset. Thank you for your time, audience, and I look forward to your questions.
Judges, we have a minute and a half for Q&A.
Would you mind expanding on how the model would be trained and any privacy concerns you would expect to face if it's scraping text to do so?
Sure. We don't use a single model. We use a agentic workflow and then a knowledge graph. So you'll have like 10 different AIs. And here you go. And how we ingest, is your question like privacy? So all information is analyzed and then dumped, and then it's actually pretty straightforward to scrub for privacy. We have guardrails on the beginning and the end, so that's one of the easier things we have.
Sorry, this doesn't work very often for me. If you are using public data sets, how are you protecting what you're building?
Sure. So the frontier models or open source models are inherently chained on public data source, but then we also have formal documentation, which is proprietary for our customer, and then this informal knowledge, which no one has access to except us and our customers. So that's truly proprietary, and really what makes us stand out between other AI companies. When I look at AI companies that I mentor, and I'm on boards of other companies, which is what Exited Founders do, that really is the secret sauce for AI companies now. Like, are you building an asset, in-house data? Do you have special data that'll just be yours? And that matters in case someone comes in from the left flank. So building, it's not just, hey, let's build an AI and do a RAG off of their documents. There's no moat there. You need to have some asset you have built, and that is your moat.
It's time.
Let's
give it up for Allie Knight with Alaris AI. One more founder to pitch in tonight's finals. Are you guys enjoying yourself so far? All right. Judges, we'll give you a little bit of time for your final concluding thoughts and scores. And audience, of course, I have one more trivia question for you for the night. I'm going to have to run and grab another drink ticket, but I promise I'm good for it. Okay, your next question. Micron acquired which Texas-based memory company in 1998? Expanding its production capacity. Micron acquired which Texas-based memory company in 1998, expanding its production capacity? Who said that? Say it again. It was Asan. I heard it in the back. Texas Instruments. Texas Instruments. Do people even use calculators? I don't think so anymore. All right, judges, we're going to give you just a little bit of time. Oh, a Texas Instrument calculator. You can't make that up. That's hilarious. Okay, judges, how are we feeling? All right. We'll give you just a couple more minutes or seconds to wrap up your thoughts. Alrighty, folks. Our final competitors of the evening. Last up is the team from QTex AI, Chris Dagger and Oliver McDonald. QTex built Partwise, an AI-powered search engine for engineers sourcing microchips. It's like ChatGPT for computer chip selection, accelerating R&D across the electronics industry. Please give a warm welcome to our final pitchers, Chris and Oliver from QTex AI.
Thank you. I hope you guys are ready to hear about the most boring AI startup you'll ever hear about. Because I'm Chris.
And I'm Oliver.
We're the founders of QTex AI, and we enable engineers to build better products faster. Specifically, we're going to talk about electronics engineers who design circuit boards, which I think some of the judges have in front of them, and the teams that they work with to build products that all of you use on a daily basis. This was the slide that was supposed to be on. The circuit board is basically the brain of any piece of electronics. And just like your brain, and yours, and everybody's, the more complex it is, generally the better. Something like a computer, or even as simple as a thermostat, can take 12 to 18 months for a company to take to market. A main driver for this is that there can be 1,000 parts on a circuit board. And 1,000 parts means 1,000 data sheets, like that. And an engineer needs to read every single one of these. But it's not just the engineers. Every one of these stakeholders on the product development team needs to read these data sheets, and they need different pieces of information from the data sheets. And it takes 60% of the product development time. So an engineer is spending over 200 hours reading these documents, and they suck. And the reason for this is that they're complicated. They have small text and graphs and tables and charts. And an engineer and everybody on the team needs to tie all this information together to figure out how they can design their product. And so the solution to us was pretty simple. We built an AI copilot that every stakeholder can use. It has all the information from all the data sheets. So instead of spending 200 hours reading the documentation, they just spend 2 hours interacting with our agent. Let me show you how this works with a company that designs warehouse robots and assembly line robots. They needed a microprocessor with an AI accelerator and a bunch of communication interfaces I'm not going to list off because nobody cares. Our agent went into the database, and the first thing it did was ask some follow-up questions. Glad the video didn't freeze. These follow-up questions are actually really important because if an engineer makes the wrong decision, they could waste months and hundreds of thousands of dollars on a prototype that doesn't work. So we'll answer some of the questions based on what the engineer needs. And we actually forgot to say that this is for an industrial robotics application, so we just put that in there now. The agent is responsive to that. Our agent was able to find 2 parts in the database in real time. And the engineer was really happy with these parts. But then procurement came in and said, OK, we have a supply contract with Texas Instruments, conveniently. Can you find something from TI? So our agent went back into the database and found something from TI that met the engineer's spec, so everybody was happy.
And that's why when you end up with companies like Rattler Medical, who use Partwise to design their circuit board, they're all down here, they took 3 months of work down to 1 day. That meant for them that they could more effectively use the $50,000 they won here at BEW last year with their life-saving blood cooler and go into testing 3 months faster. But it's not just medical products. Circuit boards are everywhere. Now, we've seen a lot of amazing companies here on stage, but one thing that ties them all together is they all need circuit boards. We have Scout with their amazing agent who needs a display to show it off to their customers. You have Lars who needs GPUs or graphics cards to actually run the AI. You need phones for folks like Effective to make sure that doctors can reach their patients and help get them the care they need. And even further from there, you've got the Trail Mix crew from yesterday that needs circuit boards in their food processing to actually sell the products they're about to go put in Albertsons. And that's why working with only electronics engineers, we can build a $175 million a year company. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Our technology will scale seamlessly across engineering disciplines. This means we can help building systems engineers design better buildings faster, industrial systems engineers design better factories faster, and cybersecurity experts design better security infrastructure faster. Now, our competitors just hack AI onto legacy workflows, and at the end of the day, we still have to read those damn data sheets. But with Partwise, engineers and their team don't have to. Now, we've built a very simple revenue model. That means electronics engineers and their teams can start using Partwise earlier and be able to design circuit boards in minutes, not days. We have a very simple go-to-market where we're getting Partwise in the hands of as many electronics engineers as possible, as we've seen a 90% conversion from those who test out the platform to those who finally sign up. And all of this to say, we're on a track to hit $50 million in annual recurring revenue over the next 5 years by enabling these circuit board or these electronics engineers to design circuit boards faster. And we're doing that by starting here in Idaho and the Mountain West, then growing across the US, and then into those additional verticals, where we'll help building systems engineers design places like Jump faster, industrial engineers design factories like Micron faster, and cybersecurity experts design better security infrastructure to protect your data faster.
Now, we launched our product in record time, and engineers love it. So much that they're telling their friends. 3 weeks ago, we launched our public beta. The first week, we had 15 engineers sign up and start using it. Week 2, we had 80 engineers using our product. And this week, we're on track to have 175 engineers on our platform designing better circuit boards faster. But we're not done. The way we would use $50,000 is to build an even better product for engineers, because all of your lives get better when an engineer has an easier time designing. And we're actually revising our estimate. We were aiming for 500 users by April, but based on our adoption so far, we're now shooting for 1,000. And honestly, we're the perfect team to do this. Oliver is my best friend, and we have over 10 years of experience designing electronics. Also backgrounds in AI research, since that's probably important. And personally, I've designed circuit boards like this one, which the most fun part of this was when I put Bite My Shiny Metal Ass on it because it was for a robot called Bender. And the circuit board was fun, but the data sheet was really the worst part of it. And so we're eliminating that problem entirely. Thank you all so much. We're QTex AI, and we're enabling engineers to build better products faster.
Well done, Chris and Oliver. Judges, we have 3 minutes for Q&A.
Okay, I'll ask a question. Can you give us what the background of your CFO is?
6 years at Goldman Sachs, started the venture capital firm for Western Governors University. Yeah, I think that says it all.
What's the most common pushback you hear when you're pitching this to a potential customer?
The biggest question that we hear from engineers and from their teams is hallucinations. A hallucination is the same as picking the wrong part for them. And so, again, if they pick the wrong part, it can set them back months. It can cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can't afford that, especially if they're paying us to not hallucinate. So to extend on that, the way we solve it is with a database that we built from the ground up. We spent a year designing and building the tech so that it's pretty much hallucination-proof. Everything has citations. Engineers know they can trust the data, and it's built on, honestly, the most advanced RAG system in the industry.
Could you expand on the pricing model and what the differences would be between the different tiers?
Yeah, so we've got our free tier, which is really for those wanting to get started with electronics engineering. It's limited where you get 50 questions a month and you get 5 projects to store that data. Then we have our plus tier, which is where hobbyists and just intro firms can go in. It's data just for that account, and you can just ask unlimited questions, as if you paid for ChatGPT. And then we've got our all access. What that is for companies that want to share data across their supply chain and their stakeholders. So myself as a design engineer, I can go in and find the parts I need for that circuit board, and then my procurement team can go in and actually see what I asked for, why I asked for it, and what parts specifically they need to go buy, and the pricing for that.
We have a minute left.
This is either a really good sign or a really bad sign.
Well, this isn't quite the hardball, but so on kind of your traction curve, have you actually had any companies sign up with licenses for their group, or are you just doing individual engineers?
Yeah, we actually have multiple companies on the platform who have signed up as groups. So we've got, I want to say 5 on board right now, full companies that are using the platform.
So in addition to Rattler Medical, Tangent Design Services signed up purely organically, Optimized Circuits also, and then Studio Blue. All of these are organizations that are using our system.
All right, folks, and that is time. Please give a round of applause to Chris and Oliver with QTech's AI. Judges, we'll give you a little bit of time to wrap up your feedback and scoring. Remember to calibrate your scores now that you've seen the entire pool of finalists for this evening. And we'll be right back. Alrighty, folks, give it up for our finalists. Judges, you do not have an easy job this evening. Those were 6 incredible pitches. I don't even know who I would choose. Audience, is there a favorite? Any favorites? QTech's, Scout AI, Music Masters. I heard an Alaris. Effective. Thank you. The point I was trying to get across is all of these finalists are winners. Seriously, it takes a lot of courage to get up on stage. It takes even more courage to build a company. So thank you for showing up to support them tonight. I have a couple more thank yous this evening before we wrap up and announce our winners. Thank you again to our judges panel. Like I said, you do not have an easy job this evening. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives and schedules to help determine who gets this $50,000 cash prize. Thank you again, of course, to our sponsors. We have Alturas Ventures, Scoggin Capital Investments, Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Foundation, Boise Dev, Perkins Coie, Zion's Bank, Taleo Capital, InTime Tech, Boise Metro Chamber, and Vinyl. Give it up for our sponsors. I'd also like to give a shout out to the CCDC, Boise Entrepreneur Week's 2025 presenting sponsor. CCDC has supported Trailhead in our entire 10 years of existence, and we would not be here without them. Please give it up for the CCDC. Okay, now I'm going to go off the slides here for just a moment. First, I'd like to thank the Trailhead team. I don't know if you guys know this. Trailhead has 3 full-time employees. We have a single part-time employee, and we have a team of 4 interns. We are a very small but mighty team, and we are committed to uplifting Idaho's entrepreneurs and making this state a more fertile environment for anybody who wants to start a business to do so right here. So I just want to give a quick shout out to our fearless leader, Tia Mrastigar, our CEO and executive director. I don't see her, to Annika Kalak, our wonderful marketing manager. She's a multidisciplinary artist and has been featured in a lot of public art lately within the city of Boise. She was just recently honored at the Mayor's Awards for Artistic Excellence. So shout out to Annika. Everything we do here looks beautiful because of her. Shout out to our program manager, Kelby. And then, like I said, we have a team of interns. We rotate throughout them each summer. We have Alexis right here with us, Chloe, Maddie, and Indra as well. Please give it up for the Trailhead team. I also want to give a quick shout out to the Jump team for supporting Boise Entrepreneur Week. This is a big event, and we have lots of very particular requests. I'm a bit OCD, if you couldn't tell. Like, can you move that couch? We need a water station here. Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we do this? Karen White, Colin, the production team, Randon, Matthew, and so many more that I have not had the chance to get to know their names. Saeed and Ahmed, our security team. Thank you, Saeed and Ahmed, for keeping us safe and for making us laugh the entire time we're here. The Jump team, we couldn't do this without you. Thank you for hosting us every single year. It's been awesome. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our production team. We have Mark Doubleday, Boise Entrepreneur Week's media chair. We have Thea Jordan, this year's Boise Entrepreneur Week live executive producer. She's not here tonight, but please, she's watching the live, I'm sure. Give her a round of applause. We also have Rob Schneider, Sean McNeary, Eric Bauer, Ted Nelson, Lila Stryker, Colin Inslee, and Chase Bennett. Please give it up for our production team. And then lastly, like I said, showing up matters. I'd like to thank the audience again. What you've seen tonight, I think, is a demonstration, like it is every year at Boise Entrepreneur Week, that momentum is building in Idaho, and that Idaho founders have the grit, the innovation, and the execution ability to compete against startups around the world. When you show up, when you get a ticket, when you come to Trailhead and work with us, when you support an entrepreneur in your family or your friend group who's building a business, you bet on Boise. So thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause for showing up. All right. That's all my thank yous. I'm sure there's many more, but that's where I'll end. Without further ado, are you guys ready to figure out who won? We saw 6 pitches this evening. Ooh, the lights are dimming. 6 pitches this evening. All of them were incredible. Our judges have finished up their scoring. Can I get a drum roll, please? Your Boise Entrepreneur Week 2025 grand champion will be announced in about an hour and a half. Downstairs on the 5th floor in the jump room. We have an awesome event planned for you all. We've got food, tacos, we've got a bar, we have music from local DJ C Digi, and of course our awards ceremony where we'll be awarding over $150,000 to Idaho startups. So please make your way down to the jump room on the 5th floor and we'll have some fun and announce some winners. Thank you all so much. We'll see you downstairs.